still get it. We're good.
Yeah.
Bet.
Awesome.
So we are back live with another episode of the Dedication to Excellence podcast. I am your host, Eugene Tamanpos, alongside my co-host, right-hand man, and the brains of the operation, Dustin Reyna. How are you feeling tonight, sir? This is a nighttime episode.
It is night. Feeling good. Yeah, I love the love we've been getting on the podcast. We're actually really getting up there on the reviews, all 5-star, amazing comments. What we would like to see right now as we're breaking into the second week is we're trying to get on the new and noteworthy, get to a much wider audience. So if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, hit that download button, leave a 5-star review and a written comment. Tell us a little bit about what you learned, what you'd like to see so that we can improve for you. I'm excited. Today we've got Marc Anthony Paz on, and it's just going to be a bomb episode today.
Let's get it. So yes, leave us a 5-star review, and if it is anything less than that, then you could just not leave us a review. It's totally cool. You can go and rate another podcast. But for those of you listening for the first time, the goal of this show is to not just inspire and motivate, but to give you real actionable steps and operational strategies from high achievers who have actually done the things they will be discussing. Because guess what, folks? Once you're excited, you actually got to go out there and do some shit. I know, crazy concept. So with that being said, like Dustin had mentioned, our guest today is an absolute stud. This young phenom is the Chief Operations Officer of MyoBlocks, a supplement company that is absolutely killing it. Side plug, if you go to their website, want to order, my discount code is ET20 for 20% off. You knew it was coming, Mark. He's also co-founded his own supplemental brand called Super Duper Energy, as well as co-founded Palm Place Creative Agency, an agency that creates fire content for brands. I learned just a few minutes ago he's also launching a coffee shop because very on brand for Marc Anthony Paz. Every time I talk to him, he's launching 10 new things. So can't wait to hear about all those. Mark, I appreciate you, sir. I want to be like you when I grow up. And he's doing all this at the age of 21, folks. This kid is absolutely insane. So appreciate you, brother. Welcome to the Dedication to Excellence podcast.
I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
We are excited as well. So, dude, I don't even know what to ask you. You've just done so much in such a little bit of time. Okay, here's a great question. What the hell were they feeding you as a kid to where at 21 you decided to look? Because I don't know about you, Dustin, but when I was 21, I was not nearly as productive as this guy. How? To explain to me, please. What happened to you? Why are you so weird?
I don't know, to be honest. I mean, I think it's kind of been in me since I was a little kid. Like the first memory I have of wanting to start a business was I had a local park up the street from my house, a few blocks, 2-3 blocks, and I used to ask for machines, food machines for my birthday, like cotton candy machines, popcorn machines, and slushy machines, because I wanted to go to the park and open up a shed and start selling to people. And then in the 3rd grade, I had a trading company, a pen trading company. And I would just trade pens, buy and sell pens. I sold a pen for $12 one time. My mom was super upset when I told her and made me give back the money. And then, to continue on, 4th grade, I had a little business. 5th grade, that's when I built my first website and had a clothing company. And then going on and on, 7th grade, had some stuff. My freshman year, started another clothing brand. My junior year, I did a business networking company. And then to a clothing company in Natewear, which was my first legitimate company where I established an LLC and kind of helped grow from just a small town company to be nationwide. So I don't know what they're feeding me. I would say it was just kind of instilled in me. I always liked business for some reason. I just liked the thought of making money. I felt like I was always pretty independent as a kid and kind of wanted to try to do things on my own and create my own path. So yeah.
I know your older brother, you work very close with too on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
Was he a big inspiration there? And what did your parents do? Did they do anything entrepreneurial that kind of got passed down? Or
No, my brother has never really been into, I guess, business. He's more creative, I'd say. Just very artistic, drawing at a young age, photography, all that kind of stuff. So that was more his vibe. My dad was a police officer. My mom didn't work. She raised my brother and I, and then she got a job later on when we needed a little bit more money. But nobody in my family was starting businesses or anything. It was kind of random. I think like a big motivation for me to like continue that path was, I grew up in San Mateo, California. My parents worked
Hey,
there. Yeah, they worked their asses off so I can go to private school my whole life. So I think like growing up around like a lot of money and a lot of successful people, seeing the things they had, things that they could do, I wanted that. And I think that like lit a fire in me from an early age to just continue to keep trying until I could get to that level.
talk to me about that, because I remember you telling me about that before. You saw money at an early age. I think I remember you telling me a story of like did you go somewhere at a young age and it kind of just blew your mind, like that there's this level of life to aspire to?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of friends had money, and then one of my friend groups, kind of like in high school, they had like a lot of money, and when you start going to their houses and seeing the cards and seeing all this money and this like and like just some ridiculous houses, like where I just like my jaw just dropped, and I'm like, wow, like bookcases that turn into offices, like underground garages,
Shit.
like just some crazy stuff. And yeah, I mean, you see that and you're like, it exists and I need to get it. So yeah.
This first official business you said you started, where you formed an LLC, and then you kind of just talked about, oh yeah, by the way, I turned that into a huge clothing brand. What was that all about?
It wasn't huge, but that was called Innate Wear. So it was like a fitness clothing company. I was like super into bodybuilding when I was like 15, 16. So I launched like a lifestyle performance company sort of thing. And that started in San Mateo. And then that's kind of how I got involved with Mile Blocks and that crowd, because at the time, John had owned a nutrition shop called Formula Sports Nutrition, which I managed those shops for a little bit, like about a year ago. We closed them down, but he owned that shop at the time, and that's where my brother was working. And so I wanted to launch this clothing brand, so I started giving out shirts to like everybody with some sort of influence in the area. So the owners, John and Chris became my partner, and then he invested in the company, and then I started working with him, and we decided to try to scale it, obviously. So it went from San Mateo, and then I moved to San Jose. We moved the brand to San Jose, started getting into some like the fitness influencers there. And then we did like the LA Fit Expo and all that stuff, had athletes, and it got to a pretty good size. We actually did a fashion show with Live Fit and Weska, Tori Woodward's company. And then after that, there was an issue with the trademark, because, I was, I think 15, 16 at the time. I saw like a dead trademark, and I was like, oh, like I can use that. But then I later learned, when I had legal advice, that, hey, if you go and try to apply for this trademark, there's a huge chance that the guys who had the trademark before see it and might reactivate their trademark and then sue you. So we decided to just dissolve the company. And then I started working for Mile Blocks kind of within that time.
Let me unpack that a little bit, because I know a lot of people listening to this, apparel always seems to be a natural progression from brands. You start a brand, you get a little bit of name for yourself, and then everyone wants to sell a t-shirt. So do you have just some fundamental advice for anybody looking to sell apparel? Like how do you even start that? Like day one, I want to start an apparel brand. Like what does that process look like?
Yeah, so for me, I'd done it a couple times. So, going back to like the 5th grade, I went online, typed in like how to create a t-shirt, ordered off of like customink.com, did that whole thing, and then got like my first batch of t-shirts. And then I started another clothing company my freshman year of high school. And that's when I started to learn like the different types of manufacturing, right? So you have screen printing, there's like digital printing, there's sourcing. Sourcing is where like, somebody sources the product for you and then they'll print on it. And then there's like cut and sew manufacturing, which is where you work with an actual manufacturer to develop the product from scratch. So when I got to that company, Innate Wear, I'd already gone through all the screen printers and like went to shops and that kind of stuff. And, I learned that it was like anybody can get this stuff. So I wanted to create something original. So I was like, I need to find manufacturers and I need to actually make something from scratch. So I went on it. My first thought was to go on Instagram and just start typing in like clothing manufacturer and that kind of stuff. And I found some guy in Pakistan. And I had like drafted up some graphic designs of what I wanted, like found the fabrics. I researched a bunch of different companies that I liked the feel and look of their cut and everything. And I try to dissect the products, right? So what is this made out of? What fabrics do they have? What's their sizing chart look like? So I just gathered all this information, found a manufacturer online, contacted him, sent him everything, sent him half the payment, just kind of hope for the best. Obviously, as like time progressed and I learned like the full clothing development, And just like, there's different things to it. There's different weights of fabrics, there's different fabric combinations. But I mean, if you're just starting out, I suggest you go on, Alibaba.com, like research manufacturers, look for some with some good reviews, contact them on WhatsApp, ask for samples, order some samples, and it's kind of like a trial and error thing until you can find somebody who's consistent and actually knows how to develop clothing.
And you were 15?
Like 15, 16, yeah.
God. Dustin, what were you doing at 15, bro?
Climbing stuff.
Oh shit. There you
go. Technical difficulties. So running into the obstacle that made you have to dissolve that company, what kind of information would you give to an audience or somebody that's trying to get into it to maybe take steps to avoid running into anything like that?
Yeah, I think I would try to speak to people who you might know in your network who have done it before, or maybe even somebody who has some like legal advice they can give you in terms of that. I think trademarking is important, like not necessarily right away, but definitely doing the research to make sure nobody else is using the name or nobody has similar branding or anything like that. Because when you put all that time into something, it sucks just to have to get rid of it after spending months of work.
How exactly did that legal battle go down? Like someone called
it didn't go down, but there was like the chance for it to go down. And I was at like a point where I was already doing a lot of work for Mile Blocks, and I was kind of drifting away from the clothing company because like, you start a business, you think like, oh, I'm going to go make all this money. But in reality, you're putting in more money and more time into something. And then that's when I just started working for Mile Blocks and like getting involved in that company. I started getting paid, and we were doing all these cool things. And then that came up, and there was like a chance for them to just sue us, and we just didn't want to take that chance. So it was just time for the next project.
Side plug: we don't have sponsors on the show yet, but I'm officially making our first sponsor, and that's me. So if you need legal advice, there's legal folks for that. Holla at your boy. So you stepped away from that and you pivoted towards Mile Blocks. So yeah, walk us through that origin. I know you said that you started working at a supplement shop, and then how did you ascend the ranks of Mile Blocks to now become the chief operating officer? And what does that day-to-day look like, and what are your responsibilities?
Yeah, so my brother was working at the nutrition shop, and then I had launched the clothing company. I became partners with John Foster, the CEO of Mile Blocks' partner in the nutrition shop, Chris Murphy. And we would be working on the clothing company all the time. And John just kind of saw the things we were doing, getting involved with people on Instagram, like posting, like having cool photography, all that kind of like new style stuff that was just starting to like awaken with these new lifestyle performance brands. He was like, I like everything you and at the time my brother were doing. You guys should come over and do this for Mile Blocks. So then we just started working. Originally, what I was doing was like social media marketing, which was just like, working on with like Instagram influencers, trying to build social media following and all that good stuff. And then, I've spent years at that company. So we went from that to then like eventually I was in sales for a little bit, doing wholesale from like all the accounts like worldwide. And then from there, taking on a role to more like the marketing aspect of the company and the operations, how we're operating from like an e-commerce perspective online, like what we were using, like different plugins, all that kind of stuff, getting into more email marketing, SMS marketing, and just focusing on growth for the online of the company.
So if you were to be, say, a marketing consultant, and let's say I was running my own company, I know you do a lot. I know you do the e-commerce. I know you implement tech stacks. I know you do the social media marketing. If you were to try to template a playbook for a business to follow, how would you prioritize the way they should tackle their marketing? What is more important these days? Is it e-commerce, social media? Like how would you advise somebody looking to really step their marketing game up?
I would say e-commerce, just because I think social media, it's tough. Like not everybody necessarily cares about a following. And I think like now you can drive a purchase just from an advertisement. You don't even have to ever like see somebody online before. I do think like having an online presence is important, having good content is important and everything, but I don't think it is as big of a deal as it used to be. We used to spend a lot of time in that department having content creation and doing all these crazy things for it. But now, as long as you're advertising online and you have a good strategy there, I think you'd be fine. But I mean, it just depends on like the stage of the company as well. Is this like a new company launching? Is this somebody who already exists? Like, where would you say somebody's at?
Got you. Dustin, please ask a nerdy marketing question that I'm not technical enough to understand, because this is your wheelhouse as the digital marketer, man. I want to ask questions, but my surface level understanding will only allow me to ask a certain level of question, man. So let's get nerdy. Let's get marketing nerdy right now.
What I'd like to know is, you're working with Milebox. Would you say is your top platform when you're working with paid advertising? So if you're doing PPC, where are you seeing the most growth coming from?
We're seeing a lot of growth from just like Instagram and Facebook. We dove into search for a little bit, but honestly, I think what we really focused on was like customer retention efforts, right? And like CRO. So
it's a lot easier to keep a customer
exactly.
than get a new one. Yeah.
Exactly. So like email marketing makes up for about 50% of our revenue monthly, which is incredible because, we would use paid social, we'd use Google, all that kind of stuff to get new acquisition and then eventually just put them in our funnels. So creating strong email marketing funnels, welcome series, abandoned cart series, win back series, having consistent newsletters weekly with promotions and information about the company, deploying like tech stacks, as Eugene mentioned, things for like loyalty programs, upsells, all that kind of stuff, and then just using that to get the customer back. Right now, we're not even advertising online. We're not even doing paid social at the moment. We're just kind of taking a break from that, like spending that money to get new customers and just focusing on the customers we have and driving them to that second, third, fourth purchase and having them continuously come. Like we're at, I think like in a month, about an 80% returning customer rate, which is pretty solid.
Dope.
Perfect timing too right now with fourth quarter. So you're saving definitely
saving a ton of money. It just doesn't make sense. You have everybody spending a ton of money. You have the election. You have all of these things. It doesn't make sense to even advertise at the moment.
The biggest problem I see in businesses established and not, still getting established is they can constantly fill the bug with holes at the bottom. They don't own the data. They just keep putting money into it, and they have, they get the leads. They maybe run them through the system, but there's no nurturing. They don't nurture the email list. They don't do anything with their email list, and that's the only thing that you own in the end of it.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and that's where I spend the majority of my time is email marketing. So I work at a marketing agency as well, and I run email marketing for a bunch of companies, and it's crazy how much even established brands that we work with and upsold on the email marketing side of things, their revenue will shoot up, and they had no idea they're losing all of this money monthly by just not sending like 2 emails a week. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I'll walk in and they've got a list, and they're like, well, here's my emails. I just pulled them out on it. They've been sitting here for a while.
Yeah, exactly. With like no automation set up, like not recovering any abandoned carts. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Loki want to hire you now. Like I'm thinking about all of the I'm like,
I can see your brain working over there. I can almost hear it.
Yeah, I think really loud. No, I'm sorry, Dustin, please ask something else, because like I'm really evaluating right now whether or not Mark needs to be hired.
I'd like to dive into the coffee shop a little bit more. Where'd that come out?
Kind of randomly, honestly. So my brother is kind of more involved than I am. So I got brought onto the company because the plans are to eventually launch an e-commerce side of the coffee shop and make our own beans, drinks, etc. I'm helping with some of like the creative direction of it, and some of like, I guess, the operations of just like the POS system, which Eugene, I'm gonna hit you up for. I already talked to them, but all of that kind of stuff. But so my brother was asked to help brand a gym. And they were originally going to open up a coffee/health bar sort of thing. And then they actually backed out on it. And we found somebody else who was interested in doing that with us. And they were like, let's do it. So that's kind of how it happened. It's kind of random, pretty fresh. But we have the location and everything. So I'm super excited. We started painting, we're getting all the equipment, and just taking a stab at it, honestly.
How the hell do you manage your schedule, bro? Because okay, you're obviously running mile blocks. You got the super duper energy, which I'm curious to know how that came to be. I mean, you're helping run a supplement company, then you launch your own supplement. So that must have been an interesting transition. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah. So, well, my schedule, or do you want to talk about super duper?
Yes.
So my schedule, I mean, I'm a little all over the place every single day. I wake up. I get to my office around like 9. I'm working on a bunch of different things. So I work for a marketing agency as well. So I have client calls throughout the day. I'm working on mile blocks
Is that
continuously
Palm
throughout the
Place
day.
Creative, or is that something else?
That's Mint Marketing, and it's Palm Place
Gotcha.
Creative. So right now I'm an e-commerce specialist at Mint Marketing Agency in LA. I took the job kind of during quarantine just because things were a little slow with Palm Place at the time, and then just kind of got really integrated with everybody there. And yeah, so I'm taking client calls throughout the day. I'm working on different things. I set like kind of like hour working blocks for different brands, and I just power through everything. And then like I get scheduled on Monday.com, and I just put everything that's like a priority, and I just get through it. And I get
That's
home,
savior,
I
isn't
work
it?
out. Yeah, no,
Monday.
yeah, exactly.
What is that?
I get home. Huh?
Is that a tool you guys are talking about? You said Monday?
Yeah. It's like a project management tool.
Got it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then I get home, I eat, shower, chill out for like maybe like 30, 40 days. Sometimes I have later client calls because some of the clients are in like Australia and different areas. And then I work, and then I go to bed. So whenever I'm done working.
Or don't go to
Rinse
bed.
and repeat.
And do it again. Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, I took on a lot. I'm definitely a little tired with the amount of work that I took on, but
and that's why you're on super duper energy, to give you energy. That's how this segues.
Yeah. No, so super duper. It's with the same guys who work at Mile Blocks. So it kind of works. We're working on the brands together, and then actually the CEO of the marketing agency that I work for is now a partner in Super Duper. So it's kind of brings everything together, which is awesome. So it's a little bit of like the best of both worlds with both teams. So we have like with that partnership, the CEO of Mile Blocks does all the product development. I handle my side and just kind of project management of everybody. We have like somebody on our team who's focused on like animations and just content, which is like, super crucial in that industry as well. Like we have crazy gaming animations that are going to come out that look like video games. They're awesome. And then Daniel, CEO of Mint Marketing Agency, he's going to be handling all of our digital, like search, social media management, influencer marketing, and everything like that. And then we have Kevin, who's going to be doing kind of like warehouse operations, inventory, and just like product ordering.
So it sounds like you've found a way to surround yourself with some awesome people that complement your life and your objectives very well. What are some best practices?
My chair says squeaky.
I was like, is that a dog in the background?
No, it's my chair. I bought this like super old vintage chair, and for the look of it, and it doesn't stop squeaking. But
so
anyway,
the rustic chair. Yeah. So you have some amazing people around you. Like one of the I think the coolest things about you is working with Randall. He was an entrepreneur that I looked up to for like the longest time, just because of what he built with Live Fit. And then I moved down to LA, meet EJ, meet you, and I'm like, wait, all these guys know him. Like, that's pretty cool. Like, what are some best practices you found in building a network of high achievers around you to help you and you help them also with accomplishing these goals together?
Yeah, I think it's just, it comes down to putting yourself out there. I mean, I didn't really know anybody. I moved to Southern California about like a year and a half ago, knew absolutely nobody. And I was like very isolated. I left all my friends, left all my family, everybody, and I was just kind of by myself. And I was like, I'm going to use social media to my advantage. Obviously, I was, posting about business, posting about the things I was interested in, but I started just DMing people on Instagram and commenting on people's posts. That's how I met Billy. That's how I met EJ. I randomly just DM'd EJ one day and was like, hey, like, I'd love to be on your podcast. Like, I think I have an interesting story. And then that's how I met him. And then, his network expanded my network. And then, I hopped in different groups like the Level Up Society, different business groups on Facebook, all that kind of stuff, and just started talking to people. And I think like, and I think people don't understand how willing people are to talk, and I took quarantine as a huge time to network with people. I joined LFG, I joined other groups, and just hopped on calls and Zoom calls, asked people questions, and just try to expand my network that way.
Yep, just putting yourself out there.
Put yourself out there.
Yeah,
exactly.
Hell yeah, man. Now, Palm Place Creative, how did that come to be?
So that actually started, I should think like 2 months before quarantine. And me and my brother and I were just kind of talking about what we wanted to do next at the time. Things were just kind of going like up and down like they do with Mile Blocks. And we were just like, what are we going to do next? Like we got to do something. And I think like for me at that time, I was going through just a really hard time being away from like my family and everybody. I wanted to get like a part of me just wanted to go home. But like, and I was missing something. All I was doing was mile blocks. And I was like, I need to start something like that. That's like what I guess like fuels me. It's just like having some sort of business, some sort of project and doing that and devoting my time into that. And then we had a company similar a few years ago, back when I was living in Northern California, but it never really took off because I feel like, in Northern California, it's all kind of tech and everything. And out here, you have people starting businesses left and right. So we were like, let's start an agency. Like we've been wanting to do this for a long time. I think we have the skills to do it. And then we just said, let's do it. Let's try it. And yeah, that's how it was born. And then, the early stages, we didn't really know what we were doing. We were taking on clients, had no structure at all, didn't know how much to charge. I think our first client, we charged them like $250 for all of our services, which is pretty on the on the lower side for like what we can charge now. And I think part of that's like building your credibility and everything. But yeah.
Is that the most effective strategy in hindsight? Because I know a lot of creative people who can, they're videographers, they're photographers. Like if I was a young freelance creative, what advice would you give me on starting a marketing agency similar to the one you've built, or a creative agency?
I think just, looking at the people you have in your network in terms of content creation and just kind of bringing a group together, right? Because it's like you have videographers, photographers, graphic designers, all these different types of people like out there freelancing for themselves, and they can kind of conjoin and create, even if it's a little group. You don't have to necessarily even make it a real business. You can all kind of be contractors, but under some alias, and start reaching out to brands. And yeah, I think it's a bit more effective. And then you can build up like a portfolio or a website, put that together and have all of your content on there. Even shooting stuff for free. I think a big thing is shooting stuff for free. Like the amount of clients we've landed just shooting things for free, doing videos for free, photos for free. Or even my brother, he'll see something cool that he thinks like he likes their branding. He'll take some pictures of it, and then a week later we'll get like a DM.
Nice. I think a lot of challenges I see with the creative type are they're very good at their medium, their art, their photography, their videography, their copy, but they don't understand the business side of things, and it hinders them. What would you say to those kind of people out there to help them take their career to the next level? Because I do see this, being a hindrance in a lot of their lives. But you look at them, you're like, you have so much potential if you only knew how to, market it.
Then you can add marketing into that, and finding someone who's skilled at marketing. I think that's kind of like where I came into it with our agency. My brother's a creative. He wasn't really business heavy. And then we were like, we can tackle this together. And then I was offering my marketing services. So I was offering email marketing, SMS marketing, website builds, that kind of stuff. And then it just kind of glued together. And then I started building out the structure of the company while he was doing the creative.
Would you say then that you should find, obviously that marketer to complement you? Because I've found business owners, some that just kind of fit the jack of all trades, and they dive in and some of them succeed. But most of the time it's a chef opens a restaurant, but he's still a chef. A doctor, a chiropractor, a massage therapist, they have a trade that they're very good at that they want to monetize, they want to branch out, but that doesn't immediately turn them into a business owner. So is it stick to your 5%, stick to what you're good at and outsource the rest is something you would recommend?
Yeah, no, I would recommend that. I think it's been crucial in my success, even with brands, starting now. I think I always find a team of people who are good at things that I'm not good at, and then we develop with all of our skills, and it ends up working out. So yeah, I would definitely suggest that.
I want to break back to a little bit of the technical side, with all your history in, starting a creative agency, working as a CEO, doing a lot of marketing for Mile Blocks, and working with marketing agency. If you were to do like, let's say a template, because a lot of the mind numbing things for somebody starting out marketing or starting out just as maybe an independent business owner that's just trying to do it on their own with the least amount of resistance. If you were to say the amount of social posts, the amount of emails, and maybe a couple times or something that would immediately kind of gain them a little bit of traction? Let's say if they have an email list that they're doing nothing with, what should they go out and probably do tomorrow?
I mean, I would check. Well, I would make sure that their automations were in place first, just to make sure that anybody new coming to their site or business, they're capturing that data, as you mentioned. I would start sending 2 promotions out a week. I would also set up like segmentations within those promotions of people who received the email but didn't open it, just because, you know, sometimes you'll send a promotion, it'll go to somebody's promotion box, or they won't see it, they won't open it, but they'll get that email again. And yeah, I would start with 2 and then just kind of work my way from there, sending it to everybody in the list, and then eventually segmenting your customers based off of their engagement. So then you can clean out that list and you're keeping people who are only engaged in the email marketing.
Awesome.
How do you find the content to fill these 2 emails a week? Like, what are you saying in these 2 emails a week?
So it just kind of depends on the brand, depends how big their catalog is, depends if they have like consistent product drops, all that kind of stuff. So I think it always depends. If you have like a small catalog, I would do like product highlights, highlighting, you know, each product like 1 a week, and then maybe doing like a little promotion on the second one, or some just general brand updates, trying to get people involved and engaged. If it's like a big catalog, you have consistent product drops. Obviously, your product drops you want to announce to everybody. That's huge for us. Like, we do limited editions and all that kind of stuff, so we make sure to keep people engaged there.
I'm thinking back to how many of your supplements I've bought because of an email. Like, this totally works.
Yeah. We send out newsletters, give people updates, like cross promotions, upsells. I mean, when you get really into the email marketing, you can segment customers who are spending a lot of money, not spending a lot of money, engaged, not engaged, interest groups. You know, it just kind of varies. But yeah, I mean, you know, talk about what's going on with the brand, and yeah, and think of promotions. Sometimes just sending out a 10% off discount code will get you a few $1,000s in sales that you didn't know it would.
Would you say kind of compounding is the key to that? You know, a lot of times the momentum seems to, you know, start high and then dip down. Even in businesses that have been around for quite a while, you know, they get started at something. It's kind of the same thing, like Facebook ads don't work for my business, you know, or this doesn't work for my business. What would you say, like, if you could get to this period of time, if you stay with, you know, what I've laid out, no matter what, you should start seeing results? What would that be, like, that length of time?
Like, based off of what I just said?
Yeah, based off of if they got started now, they have a list, they've began, and they've got good content going out.
Yeah, I would say until you had to change. Until you had to change strategy.
Well, until they start seeing some results come through.
I mean, I think, like, in terms of email marketing, if you have a list and like you have a decent sized list, you should start seeing results within that first email, to be honest with you. And then as you kind of begin to segment your customers, then you know what kind of promotions to hit them with, like, right? So high engaged people, you'll hit them with, you know, or say people have purchased before, you know, you'll say, like, you'll send a thank you email, like, hey, thank you for purchasing or being a loyal customer. Here's 15% off just for like today. And then you just kind of like learn as you go on. I think you'll see instant results, to be honest, just because you're communicating with your customers, some that might not see your social media post or your advertisements, and you're directly communicating them to their phone or their laptop.
That's kind of maybe a foreign term, somebody that hasn't really gone through email segmentation and figuring out which customers are engaged, dead lists. Could you elaborate a little bit on that? Somebody that might be naive to segmenting.
Yeah. So within like your email marketing platform, I mean, it just kind of varies. There's some really good ones out there. I use Klaviyo for the majority of my clients. There's ActiveCampaign, there's MailChimp. But what segmentations are, is it creates lists, so to speak, based off of the customer's actions. So you can set triggers within it. So how many times somebody has clicked an email, opened an email, the last time they purchased, you can set up triggers within that email marketing software, and it'll go through your list, and it'll take the customers who fit those triggers and put them into what they call a segment.
Awesome. Hear that, people? If you've got a dead list or a list that you're not taking advantage of, you are leaving it on the table.
I feel attacked. So hypothetically, if you had a friend who ran a kiosk company, how would you... This is a real question. I'm going to ask you offline. Yeah, no, dude, my head's turning right now. I'm like thinking of all the missed opportunity here. Because I know marketing is obviously important, but I feel like it kind of gets pushed to the back burner sometimes when you're trying to just keep businesses open and afloat. Can you just make a case for marketing in general, why it's very important for your business, that just crossing your fingers and hoping the word gets out is not as an effective strategy as being proactive with your marketing? Because to be fair, to play devil's advocate, there are a lot of wasted marketing dollars out there. People just pour money into things and see no results. So, what is your case for marketing, just in general, and how do you advise someone to evaluate marketing for their businesses?
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of varies on the types of marketing. I've been in that boat, right? Like when we first got put onto like paid social, like Facebook and Instagram advertising for a long time, we weren't seeing results, and we were just like, oh, this is useless. Like we're not going to do it. But I think I would take the time to do the research, look at your competitors, see what they're doing, see if they're running advertisements, and then I think it's a necessity. I think like you can't really like think that just because you have an Instagram, people are going to see you anymore. Like maybe a couple of years ago, but it doesn't work like that anymore. There's so many brands popping up. There's so much competition. E-commerce is growing and expanding, so you need to get the word out. Like when it comes to like paid social and everything, it's good for new acquisition and finding new customers. Also some retargeting within that, but that like there's new acquisition and then there's retargeting based off of kind of like you going for new acquisition, which I'm sure you could do a much better job explaining than me. And then having email marketing to support those customers, nurture those customers, warm those customers, and keep them within your funnels and keep them engaged. So I think it's crucial. I think you have to market, especially in 2020 going on to 2021. It's definitely a necessity, just with everything growing.
What do you see as the future of marketing? Because I know I've heard the argument before that email is dying. Most people don't read their emails. I know one of our theses when we started Zyral was Facebook Messenger was going to be a much more effective communication platform than emails. So I guess moving forward, what do you see as the prevailing mediums when it comes to engaging with your customers? Is it going to be email? Are there other channels that are going to be more effective moving forward? Like, what are your thoughts around the future of that?
I think email is going to be around for a while. I do see SMS coming into play. They're starting to, we've rolled out some like automations and abandoned cart automations within SMS, which is pretty cool. The open rate is extremely high. You just have to be conscious of spamming people because, phone numbers are still like super personal information to somebody. But I do see SMS coming into play big time in 2021.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Do you see, because I know even with just like messenger bots and a lot, the open rates are amazing. They're incredible. Nobody wants, it's the one thing with notifications is that little guy, they always want to clear it out. It's almost just like a cat trying to get a laser pointer. But do you see that it's just that, or do you see that there's results on the back end of that? Like they're actually taking action once they open it?
I see people taking action. I think it just kind of depends on what information you're giving them, right? So, and that's why I said you have to be conscious of that. Like, I'm not going to send somebody a text just like, hey, like, we got like this in stock or something like that. It's mostly like promotions, discounts, things that are actually going to benefit them and they're going to want to go to the site. So yeah, I would just be conscious of what you're sending them.
So, bro, like, I can't help but look at you and be like, dude, you're 21 and you got your shit together. That's what's up. What is the future for Marc Anthony, man? Like, what is this all contributing towards? Where do you see yourself down the road, man? Like, what's the grand vision here?
I couldn't tell you, to be honest. I mean, I got Super Duper Energy launching in December, so I'm super excited for that company. I really want that company to explode. I'm going to put all of my efforts in that. I'm stepping away from like the marketing agency pretty soon, and just kind of focusing on my brands. I want to create brands. I want to expand Palm Place Creative and help other people create brands. And yeah, I mean, I'm going to see where the road takes me. Like you said, every time you talk to me, there's something else going on, something new. I don't see myself stopping business at any point. Just continuously growing brands, creating things, and having a good time with it.
How do you cultivate that though? Because I just had dinner with a friend, and again, there are a lot of people out there with potential who just aren't taking the action. And I feel like you're on the opposite side of the spectrum. You are just straight taking action. How do you pull somebody from that first frame of mind to be closer towards where you're at?
You know, it's kind of hard. You know, I had a discussion with a friend just kind of earlier today about that. Like, you know, they like, oh, I have all these ideas, I have all these things I want to do. I just don't know like where to start. And I guess my biggest advice is just to start. You know, it's like I started a clothing company in the 5th grade. If I never did that, I wouldn't be here today. I failed, I don't know how many times before something ever somewhat hit. And, you know, you're going to, doing this at a young age, especially, you're going to take a lot of shit. You're going to hear a lot of crap. Things are going to come, things are going to go. And, you know, I would stop giving a fuck about what anybody thought, what anybody in your area thought about you, high school, college, wherever, your parents, anything, and just give it a go, try it. You know, there's no reason not to. It's not going to hurt you, and keep doing it. And if it's something you love, continuously do it.
To drive that point home, can you think of a particular like defining moment in your life where somebody said something where you were like, fuck that, I'm going to go succeed now because surely out of spite for whatever you said? Because I can think of a few moments like that in my life. I'm sure you have a story or two.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in high school, like I mentioned, I had like the clothing company, and a lot of guys in my friend group would, you know, just give me a lot of shit, and I stopped hanging out with those people. You know, that business failed. It was whatever. I started another company. When I started an 8-wear, the clothing company, everybody was just like kind of made it a big joke, you know, like the way they're talking about it as a joke and laugh about it and all that kind of stuff. And until it got to a certain point where like, oh, this guy did like a fitness expo, he's meeting all these crazy people, he's like, oh, there's people like kind of like in different states wearing his clothing and stuff, and I had kids come up to me and apologize and say sorry and all this kind of stuff. But you know, it's not even those
and
moments.
You said, sorry, I can't hear you, the money's too loud. No,
no, it wasn't even the money. But you know, I've had, you know, countless other times like that. Even like, you know, some of my old friends like were like saw other kids creating businesses and doing things, and we're just kind of mocking them and all that kind of stuff. And I was just like, why are you guys like giving them shit? And they're like, oh, they got like entrepreneurship in their bio and all this kind of stuff and everything. And I was just like let them be, like they're actually attempting it. And the guys who were doing something were actually doing something super cool. They threw like an EDM concert at like a venue in Los Angeles, and I was like, that's epic. Like that's so cool. Like, why are you giving them shit? Like I'll never be able to do that. And they just pulled that off, you know. And they're like, oh, but it's different, like you're established, like you actually did it. And I'm like, well, that doesn't mean you should go give them shit because they didn't make it. You should be supporting them, so maybe they will make it, you know. Exactly, you got to start somewhere. But yeah, there's also, you have to be ready for that, I feel. And you
I don't think that'll ever change.
No, not at all. People get upset that somebody else is stepping out of their comfort zone and trying to do something better, you know.
It's their own insecurities.
Exactly.
It's the crab in a bucket. In a bucket. You know, one tries to get out, they just drag it back down. But I like to elaborate, you know, with you starting so young. You know, when we're really young, they say, you know, what do you want to be? Shoot for the moons, you know, just, you know, I want to be a firefighter. I want to be, okay, yeah, that's awesome. You're going to be that. But it seems it's getting less and less and younger to younger that they try and just cast this, be realistic, stay within the lines on kids these days. What would you tell to, you know, a young entrepreneur, somebody that is...
Got to be a lion, not a sheep.
There you go. What would you say to them to blaze through the adversity of the naysayers? Even, you know, we know that family can be one of the hardest. What would you say to get above that? And
now's your Gary Vee moment. Go get him.
No, you know, I would say like I truly do believe, and I've said this since I was like in high school, and people would give me shit, tell me like I wasn't gonna do shit, I had bad grades, I had all this stuff. Like
3 weeks ago, man.
No, if you work fucking hard and like you have drive, like you'll get where you want to be. And if you don't let up and you keep going and you don't let anybody say shit to you and you just keep working your ass off, you will get there. There's not a doubt in my mind, you know. Like if you keep trying, if you never stop looking for ways, you will get there.
Yeah, keep
one of the most powerful mindsets a mentor of mine instilled upon me was, look, I'm either going to get there or I'm going to die on the way, but like those are the only two finalities: get there or I die. And
no
I'm
plan
cool
B.
with either one of those, but nothing in between. And I feel like you definitely embody that in your 21 years on this. He just turned 21, by the way, so belated happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Your yacht party looked fucking amazing. Thanks for the invite. Damn, bro, I owe you a drink, man. I remember when I first met you. Was that at you came to dinner with us, right? Wait, was that
Well, no, I met you. You came to Mile Box before that, but then yeah, we went to dinner. Yeah.
Like,
And I had to sneak the drink. Yeah.
Like, who the hell is this kid being hyped up by Billy and EJ? He's 20, but I get it now. I get why they were hyping you up. It all makes sense. But hey, bro, we are coming up soon on the hour here, so bringing this down the home stretch. Dustin, this time I'm gonna throw you on the spot because you threw me on the spot last time. So we're gonna hit you with some rapid fire questions that hopefully we actually prepared this time. I'm gonna stall a little bit, Dustin, while you think of.
No, we're good. We'll throw some out there. I want to learn a little bit more about you. So let's say mentors. Obviously, you've surrounded yourself with some amazing, influential people, the movers. Who would you say is maybe your earliest and most influential mentor that has helped you get to where you're at today?
That's tough. I think for me, like early on, like I actually watched a lot of YouTube. So I watched a lot of Randall pitch, which eventually got to meet, and we're friends now, which is awesome. And
that's awesome.
A lot of like Christian Guzman, John Foster, the CEO of Milebox, obviously took me in at a very young age and kind of helped develop me and gave me a shot, which is awesome. Some 15-year-old that says he can do all these things, which I didn't know how to do half of them, just kind of said it. And then I'd say Pat Dickerson, he's the like CEO of Spartan Subs. He just like I'd say maybe a year and a half ago, kind of took me under his wing for a little bit and showed me a lot of like the processes and goal setting and for businesses and a lot of the stuff I wasn't doing. And yeah, I mean, I'd say all those guys and all of you, obviously. But yeah.
That's awesome, man. So one more thing, this one's a little bit deeper, is if you were to lose everything today, so no companies, no job, the only thing you have is the clothes on your back and the information in your head and all the information you've gained over the years, what would be your steps to get back to where you're at now?
Do I still have my network or no?
Yeah, leverage your network. Yep.
Yeah, I would leverage my network for sure. And just try to, I guess, I just try to offer my services to as many people as possible. I'd email 100 people a day, 1,000 people a day, whatever it took to just kind of get myself back on my feet. I've been in that position before. Like I've been at a point where I had $0, couldn't make rent and had nothing. And me personally, I never wanted to get like a normal job. I always kind of wanted to work for myself or do something on my own. So I literally was DMing companies, emailing companies, trying to offer them like social media marketing services, all of these things. And I've been there, I literally didn't have anything. It's not that I couldn't rely on like my family or anything like that, but I didn't want to, so yeah, I would just, I'd take all my services and try to help as many people as possible.
One more is for that one person that's looking to get to, let's say, the next level, looking to start a business, looking to start a marketing agency, a creative agency, or any type of business really, that is having that, the roadblocks, the information overload. What would you say would be the first step that you would take to, get tangible results, to, actually get the momentum going and, not keep hitting wall after wall after wall?
Yeah, I think it varies on the business. If it was like an e-commerce business, there's like a certain kind of way I would go about that. From like the agency's perspective, I would just kind of take a step back, like, establish your business goals, how many clients you want to have, what that looks like, and the structure for like, your pay structure, what's that going to look like, and then put together like a list of prospects and just gather information from social media, from online, get that client list built up, and then start contacting people. But make sure you have all the structure before that, so when you do get a client, you know how much you're charging them. You have like an onboarding process. So like, okay, this person's signing up for email marketing. So what are all the things that they're going to need to have success with email marketing? What are all the things I'm going to need from them in order to do that? So that you have that plan ready. So it's not like, okay, cool, I just got a client for the first time. What do I do? Yeah. Exactly. Now what? And that's how I was to begin with. I had no onboarding process. I didn't know. I showed up to a meeting and just kind of winged it, and then was emailing them and texting them all these things that I needed from them when I could have just had a clear cut plan and this is how I'm going to get you from A to B.
Love it, man. Love it.
You got a final one?
Oh, do I, Dustin? You already know the vibes. So, Marc, again, appreciate you being on the show, brother. We like to end the podcast with our signature question, being the Dedication to Excellence podcast. In the own words of the old wise Marc Anthony Paz, what does it mean to you to live a life dedicated to excellence?
I think it goes back to what I was saying. I think it just comes down to living a life like, with your foot on the gas and just continuously driving towards your goals. Keep it short and sweet.
Short and sweet. My man, it's been an absolute pleasure. I am excited to watch you continue to grow and evolve and thrive. If you were a investment, I would invest in you because you are a startup poised for unicorn level results. Marc Anthony, where can people follow you and your journey? How can we stay in contact?
Instagram is probably the only thing I really post on. So at Marc Anthony Paz, that would be the best place to find me. Feel free to hit me up if you have any questions, DM me, whatever. I reply. If you take that step to contact somebody, the least they can do is reply. So, yeah.
Yes, if you learned anything from this episode,
me,
of course, man, of course. And if you learned anything from this episode and our conversation with Marc, don't be afraid to go out there and slide up in DMs, hit people up, put yourself out there. Because you want to definitely add as many amazing people to your network as possible because you rise to the level of your associations. And I think Marc is an absolute testament to that. So, bro, appreciate you. Appreciate everyone for listening in on behalf of Dustin and myself and the Dedication to Excellence podcast. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Dedication to Excellence. Is that our Instagram, Dustin?
Yep.
Perfect. And we also launched dedicationtoexcellence.com. Is that our URL, Dustin?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. That's where you can find all our shit. Please leave us a review, like Dustin mentioned in the beginning, on Apple Podcasts. We are looking to reach
crunch
a
time.
list. It is crunch time, and if we can get on that list, we will have 10 million people watching us in a month. Maybe we'll be closer to that, and then Spotify will be offering us a Joe Rogan size deal. So with that, everyone, you enjoy the rest of your night, your day, whenever you're listening to this. Love you all. Appreciate you all. Stay tuned for the next episode. We will holler at you in the future. Peace.